Hi, Blind Prime here for a Megacon update. I want to talk to you about my experiences at Megacon, and I want to come out of the gate saying I had a blast. I had forgotten how much how many people there could be in one place at the same time. Last time I went to Megacon, it was 2017. It's been a minute, and it was a blast. There was things there that were exactly how I remember, like location wise, and then there were just new things everywhere. It was great, and it was really interesting because I haven't been since 2017, so now there's this new generation of fans wandering around, and I'm like, whoa, look at all you young fans. Oh no, I'm now becoming the elder fan. Had a realization there, like, wow, I'm like 10 years older than a lot of these people. This is weird. This is wild, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. And I got to get to the panel, the Transformers panel. The goal of the day was that Transformers panel. That was the number one. Can't miss this. Needs to happen thing of the day. And I got there. I got there early, actually, and managed to talk to some people in line. Somebody mentioned about the IGN breaking a story about Leokaiser. We all were cursing out IGN because, come on, people, let us have some fun. The anticipation's half of the game, and it's just nice. It's the lead up. It's the excitement. It'd be like if you're starting the Super Bowl and somebody goes, "Hey, they just announced the Chiefs won 45 points to zero." What's the use of watching the game then? So and I mean, honestly, if the Chiefs win 45-0, that would be one crazy Super Bowl game. That would be one insane one. I'm going to be watching the Super Bowl, listening to the Super Bowl tonight, and that's going to be fun. Anyway, back to the story. So we get in the doors, and I only found out later that I had inadvertently, because I got my mother to lead me through to the front. I was like, she's like, where do you want to sit in the panel room? And I said, I want to sit in the front row because I want to be able to record the panel. I want to be able to record it and post it to my listeners and my viewers who did not get the opportunity to go to MegaCon and witness this panel. And I'll do my best to record it for them. And she's like, okay, all right. So I'll do my best to get you to the front row. Uh, Her best was to bypass the line entirely, blow through the front doors because she knew people see my blind cane, and it takes them a second as their mind just kind of goes, "What do I do? Blind cane." And they had that moment of and in that moment of we managed to get to the front row and sit down next to some other people. And I heard later that she was mentioning she saw a lot of people eyeing those front seats, but she wanted those front seats for me. My friends, and went and took them. They were like, yeah, they were probably just sitting there wondering, should I be bold enough to take that seat? Should I not be bold enough to take that seat? Should I just let somebody else have that seat? I don't know. I kind of want that seat, but I'm not sure if I should take that seat. And then they blink, and there's a blind guy sitting there. It's like, yeah, you snooze, and the blind guy is going to take the seat because I walk steady and constant, so I don't break. Um, Anyway, got to hang out with Emily a little bit, and that was neat. So there's on the videos that we all watch or listen to on Hasbro and stuff like that. When Emily's speaking, it's a big S spokeswoman Emily. It's capital S spokeswoman Emily. And when we were hanging out with her in the panel, just chatting a little bit, she was answering some small questions. There was just chit chat going around. It was little s spokeswoman Emily, and there was a distinctive difference in personalities there. And I have to say, Emily, you had me. I didn't realize that you could change that up so well. That was good. I see why they pay you the big bucks. And I got to, Evan was a bit late, but when he arrived, I got to meet him, and he was sitting there setting everything up, talking to Emily, and I heard the rustling kind of come to a near close. It sounded like now they were just kind of moving things around, but not really. It wasn't really anything that took a lot of attention or focus. I was listening for that, and I hadn't heard the words "the panel has begun" or "the panel is starting." So what I did instead was I just decided to be bold, like I was with the front seats. And I stood up and walked right to the table, and I held out my hand and I went, Evan, I'm Max. I'm Blind Prime, and I raise awareness of the blind and the visually impaired through Transformers. It's specifically verbal instructional videos because us blind people can't read those instruction manuals. And he goes, "Wait, you're blind?" And I went, "Yeah." And these Transformers really assist the blind. They can really help, and they can help with other people too. They're really nice three-dimensional puzzle boxes that are near artesian scales. Some of them, like Cyclonus, for example, and Death Source here is pretty good. And the and I mentioned that to him. I was like, yeah, it doesn't cost as much as those puzzle boxes do. It's actually affordable in comparison to artisanal puzzle boxes that are really complicated and interesting. But the thing about some of those is they just move from a simple geometric shape into something, and that's that's not as fun to me. I appreciate Transformers because they move from one thing like a robot that you can pose around to like a dragon chicken that you can pose around, and he liked that. So I gave him my card, and he gave me his card, and I said I would like I'm going to show up at the booth later. I have some things I want you to sign. Like, wait, you want me to sign something? And I went, yeah, dude. Engineers are my heroes. I want you to sign stuff that you've designed, and also something else that I just people that I like in the Transformers world, I want them to sign. And so I sat down and we dealt with the panel started, and it was a really good one. If you want the really the big on the panel, go and watch my videos on the panel. I recorded the entire thing and I separated the recordings out so that it wasn't going to just be one long video that was interrupted midway through. So go check them out if you want that stuff. I got as much of the Q&A section as I could. Uh, Stupid spam caller tried to call me midway through. It caused me to screw up my cameras for a second. I hate those spam calls. I don't know why not all of them are blocked. Anyway, so panel went well. I asked the polar claw question. That was fun. And I should have been asking the question, when do I get my Robots in Disguise 2001 Omega Prime? But at that point, I was still thinking I was going to be able to touch it and really have a conversation about it in the Hasbro booth. And yeah, after the panel, I stuck around to say a few words. Rodimus Primal found me, and me and him hung out for a few minutes and talked. But then Megacon does what Megacon does best, and a crowd of people came by. Rodimus went one way, I went the other way, and never the two shall meet again at the convention. And I'm like, yep, that is typical Megacon. There's so many people that you just good luck finding them again if you don't have their personal contact information. So I just love the meetups, the random instances of coming across somebody and then, goodbye. I should have asked him to record a quick video with me there and then to do a little comparison of what we each thought of the Haslab. But yeah, next time. That was there was just a lot going on there. And that was my first big reveal panel that I've been to, and absolutely loved it. So after the panel, after meeting Rodimus Primal and saying hi and us going our separate ways, just walked around a bit. Yes, I took some time dilly-dallying. We went and checked out the Lego museum they had going, and I got in touch with the Lego Florida group and told them about my channel Blind Builds, where that I'm building to really move all of my Lego content over to Blind Builds, so that's a nice Lego focused channel. Only Lego will be on Blind Builds. If there's a Blind Builds video on this channel, it will be from me assembling something, like whenever I got my Dragonfly in and I had to build it. That's a Blind Builds episode, building your toys. So that was a nice separation, I think. Anyway, that was fun being able to talk to the Lego groups. I gave them some of my cards. They were excited about the stuff I do, and they really enjoyed it. And then I went to the Hasbro booth, and I got to hang out with Emily again when I finally got to the front of the booth, because, wow, that thing was crowded. And Emily was really nice, and Evan and Emily both talked about it amongst them. They let me handle the cube models, the weird blocky, the slightly blocky ones that don't have much texture or detail, but they felt a little weird in the hand because they were resin, and I know the weight is a lie, they were very heavy, but that I know that when they do the plastics, they're going to be a little lighter than that. But I have to say, handling them all, there were a couple of things that I noticed that I liked, and there were a couple of things I noticed that I didn't really like. It actually, only one thing I noticed that I didn't really, well, two. Number one is I was hoping it would be a little taller. I was hoping it would be a bit bigger, but like for instance, I got to hold the thigh piece, and the thigh piece, the thighs are not quite as thick as the thighs on Deathsaurus. The thighs for Leokaiser, let's see, I think maybe I have something transformed that's got about the right thigh width for what I'm talking about here. Should be something here. Yeah, yeah. This is it. All right. So the thighs weren't as thick as Deathsaurus, but they were about the thickness of Ultra Magnus here. You can see Ultra Magnus stands just a bit shorter than Deathsaurus, but the thigh thickness I'd say was about at Ultra Magnus level. Not too bad, not too bad. And I know that I got to feel the leg. The leg was actually taller than Ultra Magnus's legs here. So I'd say, though the thighs were as thick as Ultra Magnus, the legs were about as long as Deathsaurus here. Maybe just a smidge shorter, but I got to hold the leg piece, and that was something. Now I did play with the ankle tilt, and there was what I felt like could be a stronger ankle tilt up further, but the only ankle tilt that I really noticed, and he doesn't have it. He's got the typical big ankle tilt that Desaurus has, but the ankle tilt I noticed, and let's see if I have Victory Leo not transformed into something else. Victory Leo, are you hanging out here in your Victory Leo form, or are you hanging out over here in another form? Are you? Where are you, Victory Leo? What happened to you? Where are you at, Victory Leo? Is that you? No, that's not Victory Leo. Oh, there he is. Come here, Victory Leo. He is hanging out on a different shelf than normal. Oh, nuts. I'm going to talk about those in a second. So, I've got Victory Leo here, and we're going to set Desaurus off to the side, and we're going to set Ultra Magnus over here. Let's take a look at Victory Leo. So, what Victory Leo has is the bad type of ankle tilt, where the toes tilt, so that you can do this pose here, but the sides of his leg, his feet are going to be sticking up on either side. The toes will be flat and they'll look nice from the front, but from the sides you can see there's a big gap on each of those ends. And with Victory Leo, I forgave it because not everybody's going to be, posing Victory Leo in this form, in robot mode. He's mostly going to just be combined with Star Saber to make Victory Saber. So I was just like, okay, I'll forgive Victory Leo, but I did take points off on my review of him. And though the feet are much larger, so let's set Victory Leo off. Yeah. Cream, you have knocked everything over here. It was all organized and stuff before. So the feet are not as wide as the feet for Ultra Magnus here. They are about as wide as the feet for Deathsaurus here, though. So Ultra Magnus got wider feet than Deathsaurus, but the Deathsaurus feet are about the same width as the feet that I experienced for the Leokaiser, and that was pretty nice. But where in Deathsaurus here, the front of the foot folds up. That front foot, and a friend of mine, Voidbane, he was there helping me out that day, and he noticed, he took pictures of it and stuff, and he really looked at it, and I confirmed it, and we had talked about it last night before doing, so I could make sure I got it all correct. And he really convinced me on it. Is that it's a resin copy, so I'm hoping there's another joint in there. It's just since it's a resin copy, that joint is a bit stiffer, and I didn't really try hard because it's a resin copy, and it was literally the prototype of the prototype of the prototype. It's priceless. Okay, I was very, very, very careful. I did not want to damage that. I was going to, I did not want to upset those pieces at all. So I was very careful with them. And what I was able to feel was that the front of the foot moves like Victory Leo's toes move, not like Desaurus's foot here. I'm hoping there's another joint there, but I wanted to point that out. I noticed that about the ankle tilt for the overall big robot mode is only the front of that foot rotates. Maybe they'll fix that in post-production. I hope they do, because we're still in the prototype phase, which means that it can change, and I hope it does change, because that is not enough ankle tilt, and I know they can do better. I noticed that you could probably do another panel that folds out of the foot on the underside and makes a bigger meteor foot that then can do the rotation side to side if you need that joint to be at the front of the foot. I think that would be the best way to do it, and that would stop their, that make it actually seem more closed in and better whenever it's all folded up, because you could fold that flap over the toe, and we've seen that with things like Grimlock, where the back of the foot is folded up into the front of the foot. Actually, Desaurus does something similar, don't you? Because you've got a back heel. Yeah, Desaurus does that as well, where the back heel folds into the front. I think that if they do that, then Leokaiser will be amazing. So please, Evan, if you're watching this, that is my little critique of your prototype of a prototype. I think that the foot needs to be a little better. I think the foot needs to be a bit wider and a bit longer to help support him, because if I'm paying that much for Leokaiser, he's either going to be on the stand all the time, unless, of course, his feet are sturdy enough, and then I'll let him pose out off the stand. And I'd like the ability to pose him out off the stand, but I don't want that. I'm going to put a lot of money on this guy. I don't want him falling and breaking. And I know that, I'm a blind guy, so I accidentally bump into things. I need his feet to be strong enough so that if I bump into him, he's not going to fall. If I bump into Desaurus, he kind of falls. Okay? Desaurus freaks me out sometimes about that. If I bump into Ultra Magnus here, I'm bumping into Ultra Magnus. Oh no. Oh no. I love that about Ultra Magnus. Just blind friendly transformer right there. I haven't knocked Ultra Magnus over once. I love that transformer. He's so great. He's so accessible for the blind. Now, that was my gripe on the leg, but the overall construction of it, the complexity that I felt in there were a lot of moving parts in there that seemed to shift and slide. I think that it's going to be a lot more complicated of a transformation than we're giving it credit for. I'm hoping that that's the case. I did not transform them because, like I said, pre-production prototypes, they're priceless. I don't want to be responsible for them. No. Evan can have all that liability, and Emily can have all that liability on their heads. I will lightly touch them, and then I will quickly pass them back. They can have all the liability themselves. I don't want any of that. So, yeah, I may be bold in standing up in front of a group of people and talking to another person, but I'm not bold enough to transform a pre-production prototype. No way. No way, sirree. So, I held Death Cobra, and Death Cobra felt nice in the hand. I think it's going to be neat. It was a little bit of a cluttered transformer, but personally, I like that. I think it gives them a bit more character to have a little clutter on them. I enjoy a bit of kibble because it's part of the fun of Transformers. If there's not enough kibble, like how are you going to know how it transforms, or kind of guess at it? It's nice to have some kibble to give you hints, and then you can try and guess the rest. Like with Ultra Magnus here, there's hints of the truck mode that he comes from, but there's only hints of it. Like the wheels down here, for instance, and other parts of him kind of hint at truck mode. But getting him there is the fun part. Wow. Wheelie, you are super small. Can you be squished? Ooh, you can be squished. Okay. So held Death Cobra. Death Cobra's going to be fun. I hope we get Death. I know we're going to get Death Cobra. This was a fun thing to experience. Okay. His held Hellbat. I got to handle Kill Bison. I got to handle Leo. I got to handle Jaruga. I got to handle One Horn or Uno Horn or Drill Horn. And I really wanted to handle Drill Horn in his drill tank mode, but not accessible. But I'm excited about the drill tank. I want a drill tank. I like drill tanks. I think they're just fun, and so that's going to be a fun addition. So I handled Kill Bison in his robot mode. I handled Hellbat in his robot mode. I handled Death Cobra in his arm mode. I handled the drill tank in his foot mode. I handled the Jaruga in his robot mode. I got to handle Leo in his jet mode, and I got to handle the one I'm forgetting the name of in his vehicle mode as well. His other, his jet mode. So that was really neat. I got to experience them, and they were really cool. That was kind of that was a really wild day. I also wanted. I asked him to pass me the waist. That's how I knew about the thighs because, like, okay, there's something that will tell me all I ever need to know about the size of this figure, and it's his waist and his thighs. And so I needed to hold them, and Evan passed them over, and that was wonderful of him to do that. So what I found by holding the thighs is the thighs are about the thickness of Ultra Magnus's. Okay, it's about Ultra Magnus thickness when it comes to his thighs, the waist wise, and thigh wise. So the waist is about as wide as Ultra Magnus's waist here, and the thighs are about as wide as Ultra Magnus's thighs. Like very similar in that to Ultra Magnus. Not as thick though. Like whenever it comes to front to back, it was a bit thinner in that. But there was a lot of hollowness because of the way this transformation is going to work. There's going to be like this big square thing on top of the leg, and then the thigh is hollow, and you slide the square thing into the thigh socket, and I assume there's going to be a locking mechanism in there that will lock it down. That's good. I like that. That means it's going to be really secure, and that's important because I want to make sure I can pose him around without him falling apart. And the connection point on the top of the waist felt very strong and sturdy, and I'm hoping that it holds up well enough for all the weight that's going to be on top of it, because that's the engineering problem with a thigh, is it's got to hold up everything above it. And with Ultra Magnus, they really knocked it out of the park with weight wise. With Deathsaurus, I think if you take off the wings, he will be about that too. His thigh is wide enough. It's definitely. Are you wider than Ultra Magnus's thighs? I didn't actually see. Let's see. Huh. Yeah, you're slightly wider than Ultra Magnus's, but not by very much. Though it's interesting, your thighs do feel thicker than Ultra Magnus's, even though your waistline is about the same. Neat. The things you learn, right? So, handling them all, I have to say, I think they're going to be wonderful. They feel like Voyagers, though I don't really understand why they're saying 5.5 inches, because it didn't feel like they were 5.5 inches tall. It felt like they were a bit taller than that. I may be wrong. I'm not really the best at those things. I did not bring my handy dandy Lego pad, and I should have. I don't know why I didn't. That would have helped out a lot. Now that I think about it, darn it. Evan, if you're watching this, please use a Lego pad, and please size those things with a Lego pad, and say how many studs tall it is. So that's always a fun thing, and I love it because I'm just trying to make that a standard for toy measuring. How many Lego studs tall is it? Anyway, handling them all, I liked every one of them. I thought that this was going, the being able to touch and feel them and understanding, like, yeah, I don't know how they look, but how they feel in the hand won me over. All right, the biggest gripe I had was the ankle, and since it's a pre-production prototype, I think that can be fixed. I think you can do it and make it better, and it's going to work out really well, in my opinion. Um, and I managed to shake hands with Evan again and Emily again, and then headed out. And of course, got about an hour into con and went, oh crap, I forgot to get him to sign things. So I showed back up for a third time at the Hasbro booth, signed up for a raffle while I was there, and I got Evan to sign my Deathsaurus flight stand. And he asked where he wanted where I wanted his signature, and I told him I want your signature where when I set it the chair up, Deathsaurus's feet will be right behind your name. And so he did it the best he could with that. Love it. I mean, it feels like he used paint, so I can kind of feel the texture of it, and that's neat. And then he asked me where I wanted him to sign on my victory thing, and my victory saber flight stand, and I told him down the length of the big V, and there it is. So you can kind of feel it, and that's cool too. I like that, and I appreciate the fact that he did take the time to sign those things. That was really fun. It was really great, and I now have the engineer signatures on these, and I love it. And of course, later on in the day, I did manage to meet Adam Savage, and I got him to sign the measuring tape that I use more often than not. It's an antique measuring tape. I need to get an audio descriptive measuring tape that speaks the measurements that it has. I intend to get that, but I still have my old tiny measuring tape that I've used my entire life, or a majority of it, because somebody stole my good, my bigger measuring tape. So my spring-loaded one got taken by somebody, but I still have the one that you have a little rod and you spin around. And I went, if I'm going to get Adam Savage to sign anything, I'm going to get Adam Savage to sign this measuring tape that I found in my grandmother's toolbox after she passed away, and I went ahead and put it in my toolbox. Because I wanted to remember her anytime I'm doing things, and she was the handyman at around the house. According to my dad, when he was growing up, if something happened, if there was plumbing needed fixed, it was Granny that fixed it. If there was something wrong with the wiring, it was Granny that fixed it. If the chair needed to be repaired, it was Granny that repaired it. And so I took that stuff, got him to sign it. Adam Savage is just as a nerd in real life as I thought he was. He stopped everything before I got to him and ran over to go check out two Wallies that had driven over, and he wanted to see the robots and hang out with the people that made the robots. And I walked over there and I felt some Wallies, and I was like, oh my god, they did such a good job with the treads on the Wallies. That was really good. Those are good Wallies. I like the Wallies. And meeting Adam Savage was a lot of fun, and being able to get him to sign a measuring tape was good. Because engineers are my heroes, and I told him about STEAM. I'm like, look, man, I love science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Because STEM's break, but STEAM is what drove the Industrial Revolution. It's the difference between a Grecian column and a Roman column, and it's one of those things that's better. STEM buildings they'll hold up, they'll do well. STEM architecture will do well every day of the week because it's built with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It will hold up to the things that it's made to hold up to. But is it an unsightly horror upon the landscape? Yes. It is a giant gray blob of a building or structure or anything like that. It will always be just an ugly looking thing. It won't look pretty. How do you make it look pretty? Well, if you're making something look pleasant to the eye or pleasant to the touch or anything like that, now you're breaching into the realm of art. And that is why STEAM is important, because you can make something with STEM, but it's important to have the art, because that's what really makes it pop. That's what really makes it just kind of work. People like it. People will like it a lot more, or at least many will. There's some who would prefer STEM over STEAM any day of the week because they just don't see the use in art, and those are they lean more on the robotic side of life. But people like me, I'm more on the creative side, and I like to see art in everything, and I like the challenge of doing engineering with art in mind. That sounds like a good challenge in my opinion. Anyway, so I spoke to Adam Savage about my beliefs on Steam, and he kind of agreed with me. And I talked to him about his robots and things like that, and it was a fun day. It was all in all really great, and I absolutely loved it. And it was fun getting a chance to meet Rodimus Primal. And I still hate that we didn't record something together, but oh well. It was fun being able to meet as many as I did, and of course, at the end of the day, I went and visited the Anime Expo thing, Anime After Dark, and I talked to almost every member of the Naruto voice acting cast, and I talked to them about audio description because I personally would like audio description in anime because I enjoyed anime before I lost my vision, and I understand how visual anime can be and how important it will be. It's important to mention some of the things that happen because there are big visual moments in anime. There's some really cool art styles done in anime. People come up with some ingenuitive things and just things that are kind of neat. And so having those described would be amazing because the stories are nice, but it's also nice to have the context. Why is that guy screaming for 5 minutes? He keeps charging his attack. Thank you for telling me audio description. So I talked to them, discovered that the voice actor for Rock Lee, and I'm sorry, mate, your name has slipped my head. The voice actor for Rock Lee is also an advocate for the disabled. That was amazing. I thought it was really cool that Rock Lee in the Naruto universe is a disabled character. He doesn't have access to the chi powers that everybody has access to. He's got to do it all on physical prowess. He doesn't have any secret ninja arts. He's got his fists. He's Rock Lee, and I love it. I love that this guy who voices a character that in this world would be considered disabled is a disability advocate, and it worked for me. And I sent over a friend of mine. We call him Dragon Chad, and because he loves dragons, and he went around and talked to other voice actors for me so that we could be hitting two at the same time. Because by the time the Anime After Dark began, I knew that members of our group are going to be ready to crash and burn soon if we didn't get home. So because we had a 2.5 hour drive ahead of us, not to mention the Orlando traffic. Though we worked it out. We managed to head out of there around 8 p.m. and then met a person who was who was cosplaying as the librarian from the Mummy, and that was exciting. They even had the Book of the Dead, and that was cool because it was all it had some really amazing textures on it, and it turned out to be a backpack that they had gotten from Universal Studios. That is cool. We helped her to a car, and she gave us some really nice paintings in exchange, and that was simply wonderful, and that was just a wonderful ending to an amazing day filled with adventure and all sorts of cool things that I'll be bringing up periodically throughout this next week because there's so many things I have to talk about, and this video's already run long enough. I haven't even gotten to the people with the movie props and the oh no, that's going to be an entire video by itself. I will talk about that company and what they do because they're also very cool. And I was just alerted that my S Pen, my little clicky clacker to end my videos, has died. So that means I need to pick the camera up and twist it around and hit the stop button. So I apologize ahead of time, but before we get into the movement of the camera, thank you all so much for watching today's video. Please go below, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. My voice is still weak from con, and of course doing a lot of Dungeons & Dragons playing yesterday because we had our normal game. And this is probably take number 4 because I just keep talking and I need to stop. So thank you. Ooh, almost knocked this. Almost not. We're gonna call it the end of the video. Thank you all again for watching. There's a sleeping Cream. You want to have anything to say to the camera, Cream, before we go off today? Huh? Nothing? Well, have a great day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Till next Prime. Bye-bye for now.